Breaking news tonight, President Obama vetoes the GOP bill to approve the Keystone Pipeline, flexing his political muscles with just the third veto he's issued in his entire presidency. It marks a key item on the GOP's agenda, stopped dead in its tracks by the president. And why? Because the GOP claims that the pipeline would create jobs and lower gas prices just weren't true.
I think that there's been this tendency to really hype this thing as some magic formula and to what ails the U.S. economy, and it's hard to see on paper where exactly they're getting that information from.
It wouldn't be worth it. That's why the president issued this veto, and he's just getting started. So far this year, the White House has issued at least 10 veto threats against the GOP bills to repeal the health care law, roll back abortion rights, and defund the president's executive action on immigration. These are the kinds of bills that Republicans are pushing, ones they know the president won't sign. They're not interested in governing, just in scoring political points. It's the complete opposite of what they promised back in November.
We ought to start with the view that maybe there are some things we can agree on to make progress for the country.
The American people made it clear Election Day. They want to get things done.
We're going to function. This gridlock and dysfunction can be ended.
It was a joke. They're not serious about passing bills that will actually become laws. But the president's serious about stopping their harmful agenda. Joining me now are Congressman Jim McDermott, Democrat of Washington, and Jonathan Capehart of the Washington Post. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks, Red.
Good to be here.
Congressman, only the third veto we've seen from President Obama. How significant is that?
It's a big one. They have staked so much on this faulty project, and now the president has put him to the wall, and we're going to see if they've got the power to take it, to make it happen. They don't. The president is going to win. They have not figured out that compromise is what has to happen for government to work. Nobody can bully their way through. And they keep trying to bully the president. This shutdown they're working on right now is another bully tactic.
You know, Jonathan, what message is the president sending to Republicans doing all this?
He's saying it's a new day. He's saying that, to the congressman's point, the Republicans have been trying to bully the president since he was inaugurated, and now they're learning that the president's not going to be bullied. The president has made it very clear, and especially since the midterm elections of 2014, when Republicans thought, well, now that we have the House and now that we have the Senate, now we will exert our will on the president. They are beginning to discover that the president has a whole lot of other tricks up his sleeve to keep them from doing things that he doesn't think are good for the country. But also the nation is seeing that all these promises of one-party rule on Capitol Hill does not necessarily mean or equal governance.
Congressman, you know, we've heard a lot from Republicans about how great the Keystone Pipeline would be for jobs. But a report by the State Department found the project would only create 35 permanent jobs after construction. And lots of reports have found that the pipeline would have a minimal effect, if any at all, on gas prices. I mean, aren't there better projects for the GOP to push?
You'd think, Rev, that they would want a infrastructure bill to deal with highways and transit and all the things, the bridges and water systems and whatnot that need to be rebuilt. They would have a much better impact on the economy if they would put together a bill, figure out a way to finance it, and compromise with the president. We could do some really good things if they wouldn't pick these things where he has said, no, that's not good for the environment, and I'm not going to do it.
Well, and infrastructure is a necessary thing. But you know, Jonathan, today was only the third veto the president has issued, a lower number than all of his most recent predecessors. But the New York Times says the president is, quote, opening the veto era of his presidency, which will be, quote, an extension of his second-term strategy to act alone in the face of Republican opposition and safeguard his legislative record. How important will the veto be for the president going forward, Jonathan?
Well, when the Democrats had the Senate, then Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid was the block. That's one of the reasons why the president has so few vetoes. Very few bills came to his desk that required it because Harry Reid was the block. Now that Mitch McConnell is the Majority Leader and they're going to be sending the president bills that he knows he's not going to sign, they know that he's not going to sign, that number, that's 3 right now, is going to skyrocket over the next 2 years.
Now, Congressman, in light of that, the other big issue in Washington this week, the looming shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. And Republicans are starting to sound very nervous. Listen to this.
I remember the last time we shut down the whole government, this would obviously be Homeland Security. The last time we shut down the whole government, we turned away 600,000 visitors to our national parks here in Arizona. I don't want to see that movie again.
Republicans were wrong in making this a hostage to the immigration issue.
For God's sakes, don't shut down the premier Homeland Security defense line called the Department of Homeland Security. If we do, as Republicans, we'll get blamed.
I mean, Senate Republicans have blinked on this, Congressman. Will House Republicans back down?
I think there's no question they're ultimately going to back down. Boehner's got to figure out, he's been out there saying, well, we're going to shut her down. Well, he's now going to have to turn around 180 degrees and go the other way and pass it. Pass a clean bill. You can't put 230,000 people off the payroll and then expect the country's security to be secure. I mean, it's just, it makes no sense. How are you going to walk past somebody in the airport who is working because they're essential, but they're not being paid, and expect their mind to be on, where am I going to pay my mortgage this month?
Jonathan?
And here's how ridiculous this situation is. Everyone's looking to Senator Mitch McConnell to come up with the plan for a clean DHS bill to come to the floor to be voted on. But under our Constitution, appropriations bills come from the House. So as the Congressman said, Speaker Boehner is the one who's going to have to figure out how he is going to get a clean bill from his chamber to the Senate. If Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is able to do it in his chamber, Speaker Boehner is going to have to pass an identical bill so that it originates there and then go back to the Senate. How they do that by Friday is beyond me.
Well, Congressman, I don't know they can do it by Friday.
I really think they have waited. They've played this game too far down, and they're going to go over the cliff. Now, they may rescue themselves by extending it some way by 2 or 3 days or something, or a week, but they're really putting these people in a terrible place and putting the security of our country in jeopardy. It is absolutely unbelievable that they could say this is what the American people wanted in the 2014 election. They want a government that works.
It is amazing this kind of stuff is still happening. Congressman Jim McDermott and Jonathan Capehart, thank you both for your time.